if one's good, two's better. I'm not going to just dip my finger
Yeah.
in. No, I'm going to take from you so I get mine.
Of a substance I've never tried
That
before.
I've never done before.
And
I don't know how I'm going to react.
Yeah, never done it before in my life. I may have taken ecstasy a time or two, but like this was pure MDMA.
It's a far cry from dipping.
Oh yeah.
Millie makes songs, hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives Podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and mental health. I'm your host, Milligram. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you know me. Joined, as always, by the hamburger helper of Harleys.
Nice.
The gearhead with a heart of gold. I knew that would get you, AJ.
That's a good one.
The gearhead with a heart of gold. It's Mr. Jerry with a G.
I'm glad to be here.
Because today...
Hold on, tap on the brakes.
Tapping.
It's like you should tap that like and subscribe button if you dig what we do.
Mental Defectives Podcast on all your social media. That's where we're at. Mental Defectives Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us there because today we have a very special guest. He is a sober father, husband, musician, and gearhead, a physical specimen who always re-racks his weight, a one-man security detail who skipped 1 through 5 and went straight to 6 gun. Ooh. Please welcome the incredible, the mysterious Mr. AJ. AJ, how's it going?
What's going on, guys?
Good, man.
That is probably the most flattering and badass intro I've ever seen in my life.
Hell yeah.
Skipped 1 through 5 and went straight to 6 gun.
Bro, I had that
that's
dialed up.
That was dope.
I had that dialed up.
I've been wondering how that intro was going to go today. It really was. Now I'm hungry for hamburger helper also.
Ooh, you should have taken us up on the stuffed peppers. You missed out.
They
You
did
missed
look
out.
pretty good. But
AJ, where are you from?
I am originally from Loudonville, Ohio, in the heart of Mohican, the asshole of Ashland County. 20 miles from everywhere. You can literally take a state route out of my town in every direction and hit a Walmart in 20 miles.
Perfect.
I love it.
But it's the outdoor recreation capital of Ohio.
Okay.
So the
I fuck with Mohican. I like the Loudonville haunted cave. You ever been there? Halloween time.
What?
They do like a haunted house in a cave.
News to me.
This fucking guy.
It's also been quite a number of years since I've been back
That's
home.
fair.
So
That's fair.
I don't really keep tabs on the old homestead. So
I feel it. AJ, when was the first drink?
First drink. Well, I can remember being, I don't know the exact age, but I'd say more than a toddler, less than a teen. Parents were partiers, things like that. My stepdad would always give me the bottoms of his old Milwaukee Light. So he drank in bottles, and he would, finish it and hand it to me. I'd slow it down. I can remember always, parents' friends would always ask me, like, AJ, what's your favorite beer? Old Milwaukee Light. And I said all confidently. I didn't realize till later on in life I was drinking swill. Like, it was just his backwash. But needless to say, I started at a pretty young age. First drunk I can remember would be 8th grade. Experimented with weed and cigarettes before that. First drunk I can remember was on my way to school my 8th grade year to take my math proficiency test.
Perfect timing.
First drunk.
First drunk.
Damn.
That I can remember. First drunk I can remember.
That's awesome.
So I'm 41, and I can remember, like, back we used to take proficiency tests. Now they just call it state testing. Always hated math. Math was never my subject. So I had to take a bus to the middle school because in my town we literally had K through 3 for an elementary school. We had 4, 5, and 6 for a middle school. Junior high was the next town over, 7 and 8, and then high school 9 through 10 or 12. So I lived near the high school, so I took a bus down to the middle school and had to walk across the playground to catch the shuttle bus to go 5 miles to Perrysville to the junior high. Well, I was really nervous about taking the math proficiency test. So I mixed up what I call a Molotov cocktail in my parents' liquor cabinet with just enough Pepsi in the bottle for coloring. The idea was I was supposed to drink it in the 5 miles to the junior high.
Right.
But I got scared, and I slammed it walking across the playground.
Oops.
Passed out during my test.
Oh,
Hell
man.
Woke up with like 3 minutes to go and just started circling. Everything's C.
Yeah.
Everything's good. The answer's always C. Needless to say, I failed. So
That's a hell of a first.
that was my first drunk I can remember.
Hell yeah. And then where's your drinking like pick up from there? Like when do we start getting into like?
Really, I mean, substance abuse and things like that kind of picked up all around the same time, around junior high. See, I can remember. It's no wonder that I like energy drinks the way I do, because I always had an affinity for Go Fast. I can remember the first ever energy drink that I drank. It was about the size of a Red Bull can, but it just said, it was green, just said energy on it. This was pre-Monster.
Yeah.
I used to take. I remember the stackers when they had ephedra in them, so I was taking those around that time. 'Cause I played sports, I skated. I one time got dosed with X-Lax because somebody told me they were caffeine pills. They had rubbed the X-Lax logo off of it, and I took a bunch of them thinking they were caffeine pills, and then went to the movies that night. Needless to say, I didn't see the movie.
Yeah.
Sounds like a real shitty evening.
Oh, that was good. As a dad, I appreciate a good quality dad joke. So all of that really started around junior high, and then into high school. Said I played sports, but it was always, smoking weed and small town kid shit.
Yeah.
My stepdad was a businessman in town, ran a grocery store. Come from a family that has a name in that town, so hell, half the time I was in trouble before I even did anything. Like, my parents knew I was in trouble before I even got in trouble. But in high school, I played sports up till sophomore year, and then my drinking probably picked up, drinking and girls.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was pretty much all I wanted to do was party. But like, I had a job, so I always bought Budweiser in bottles, and everybody else is drinking, Keystone and Coors
Natty.
and stuff, Natty. Because I'd know if somebody was stealing my beer, because they'd be walking around a party with a bottle of Budweiser.
Yeah.
But I can remember high school, we went next school district over, not really town, but West Holmes. Piled in the back of a Jeep. We were going to a party over there, and I probably drank close to a 12-pack before I even got to the party, and that was just in the 12 miles between Loudonville and West Holmes High School.
Yeah.
Passed out at the party. People throwing shit on me, pissed on me, like threw eggs on
God.
me. My friends left me. Like,
no.
Yeah. So I was a blackout drunk from early on.
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, it was just steady progression. Remember being 19 and getting served in bars. Had a little bit of facial hair. I mean, I was 16 getting beer at drive-throughs because I was a passenger. Pretty big kid with a goatee and sideburns, and Mansfield. So they're like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Steel reserves and shit like that. So.
Oh, steel reserves were so. I remember like one of my buddies like, bro, it's 9.4%. It's like more bang for your buck. I was like, oh great.
No,
they're so
terrible.
Oh, it tastes so disgusting.
And of course, being elder millennial, the old I had my stint with Booze Farm and Mad Dog and Zima and like. So I can remember my parents. I come from a family where drugs and alcohol is commonplace. So like in high school, my parents had a camper at this campground. And, like, I was the bad kid. So, like, I was the one going around with, like, the Mike's Hard Lemonade, like, getting everyone else drunk. Smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like, I was a juvenile delinquent from the start.
I'm having zero difficulty picturing that, knowing you now.
You'd never guess, right?
Right. Of course not.
No. Just because I'm cleaned up doesn't mean...
Okay, so we're 19, drinking, going through the carry out and stuff, and then how did things pick up from there?
Well, I got married early on. The girl I was with in high school, and like I said, I was getting served in bars at 19. I can remember the bar was I was living in Knox County at the time. The bar was just a couple doors down from where we were living. go down for karaoke night, because I love to sing. I grew up in a musical family. I'd play music. Go down to sing, and then stumble my ass back home. And it just, all through my 20s, it just progressed. Alcohol was always the staple. You know, it was the constant. And then, like, that relationship ended. And drinking has just always been, I say it's my worst best friend. Like, it's that asshole best friend that's always there, but never is any good for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
I've always said for years that alcohol was my worst best friend.
It's solid.
Is that so? You were drinking at this point. When did you start dabbling in other things? Is it around that time?
Like I said, there's various instances. Like, I accidentally smoked crack on Easter one time.
Accidentally smoked crack.
Not the first guest we've had on that has accidentally smoked crack. There's been several.
I mean, clearly I can't tell other people's stories, but
well, yeah.
It was an Easter Sunday, and I was with a family member and picked up a bowl that I thought just had weed in it, and started smoking on it, and they started laughing. It's like, what? They're like, tastes like burnt plastic or something? I was like, yeah, it tastes like shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was smoking crack out of that and then threw some weed on top.
Fuck.
I get back down to my sister's for Easter dinner. I walk in, it must have been all over my face. My mom's like, "You have a good time, did ya?" Like, you know, the whole, it's a family tradition, like Hank says. Like, it's, you know, so that stuff's been there off and on. I started doing pills in my 20s. And honestly, as stupid as it sounds, I started playing music. Johnny Cash was my idol. I had gotten a tooth pulled, and they gave me a prescription for Percocet. And it was when I first started working in Columbus. So the city really kind of did corrupt me in a way, because I was a small town country kid. I didn't know anything about,
So the
you know,
big city dentist you got to watch out for. That's
right.
Yeah.
But I was working in this warehouse, and, you know, I was taking the shit as prescribed. And I said something to a guy I was working with. He's like, "Man, if you get some more of those, I'll buy them from you." All right, whatever. He's like, "You ever take them, like, more than..." I was like, "No." So sitting down playing Xbox one time, I took one or two more, and I'm like, okay.
Oh.
So, because I got to the point where I didn't like smoking weed anymore. Like, I like being high, but I hated actually smoking weed.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I could just take a few pills and 20 minutes later get the same effect? Like, let's go. Worked with this old dude that had a script of stuff, and he would just come in and throw them on the counter, and I'm like, you know, I'd go to pay him. He's like, "Baby's got milk? Like, bills paid? We good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, everything's good."
Cool.
So,
What a responsible drug dealer. That's like
Yeah.
nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
and about that time I had kids, and honestly, my kids are direct result of drugs and alcohol. I can say, you know, talk about consequences. I've got two of them, and they're teenagers.
Talk about alcohol being like your worst best friend. Like kids is like having a broke best friend.
Yeah, they're.
A broke best friend.
It's probably the best worst thing I've ever done. But no, like my son was conceived in a blackout drunk. I went out with one of my bosses and got drunk and went home, and
There it
there's
is.
that. There's him. And I was in the midst of a 3-day Percocet binge when my daughter was conceived.
Yeah.
And those were probably mid-20s. So I think I was 24, somewhere around there.
Okay, so by 24, like where are you working at that point?
I was working in a warehouse in North Columbus.
Okay,
off
so you're
Sinclair.
warehouse in
Warehouse.
Columbus. Are we doing the 6-gun thing yet?
No, I started playing music originally when I was 21.
Okay.
I was with my first wife. Her mom, I guess it had been my mother-in-law at the time, had this old guitar that we were doing a yard sale, and I was like, what are you doing with that? And like, I come from a musical family. My brother played, and I'd played bass in high school, stuff like that. Always sang karaoke and stuff, but taught myself how to play guitar. Literally, I stole a Guitar for Dummies book from Knox County Library and sat and looked at pictures and taught myself how to play guitar.
You gotta love stealing from the library.
Oh yeah, real classy,
yeah,
real
yeah,
classy shit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Class act.
But So no, I was just learning to play and things like that. Didn't really pick up on and really start an identity until I was living in Newark. I was with my my kids' mom, and I just started going to open mic nights. Mm-hmm. Really liked the open mic night scene back then. Like, it was real cool. Like, we ended up with a pretty good group we called the Family, and I still have a lot of those close relationships. But I come up with the name Six Gun Justice watching Tombstone one day. Because I was listening.
Movie.
Oh yeah, I was listening to a lot of like dark country. And then like
Walker Wheeler Jr.
No, no, not that kind of country. No, like the Railbenders and Blue Sarasano. And,
Okay.
Like, it's just basically it's like spaghetti western, but like the devil's coming for you kind of thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
think Thomas Jane's The Punisher. Mm-hmm. The Hitman in the Diner, Harry Heck.
Yes.
That kind of
Yep.
it's High Noon and
Right.
Red Dead Redemption kind
Yes.
of stuff.
Showdown.
Yes.
Yeah. Got you.
There's a whole subculture of country that's like that, and I've always been kind of off the beaten path on things.
The Mental Defectives podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new EP, More is Always Better. 6 electrifying tracks available on all streaming platforms.
Around that time, like I said, Johnny Cash was my hero and my idol, and so I found out what painkillers do when you abuse them, and literally full intention of getting a drug habit because Johnny Cash had one. As stupid as it sounds, I said, Cash took pills. Why can't I?
get it.
If I'm gonna be a rock star, I'm gonna be a rock star. You know what I mean? Hell with it.
Yep.
But like, I always kind of had this idea this mentality of, I don't want to end up on my deathbed and say, what if? If that means, like, I want to know what cocaine's like. I want to know what skydiving's like. I want to know what driving 100 miles an hour is like. I don't want to say what if. I don't have regrets. Not one thing have I ever done in my life that I have a regret of. I don't live like that. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, there's a lesson to be learned or, some sort of benefit from it. It's kind of stupid sometimes, and it leads you to do hard drugs and a lot of illicit things.
Right.
But, there's always a reason.
But hey, I tried it.
Yeah, done it, been there, check the box.
Right.
But during that time in Newark, things really sped up. The addiction sped up.
Okay, so we're in Newark. We've had the 2 kids already.
Yes.
Drinking.
So this
pills, Six Gun.
is probably 20. My kids were born 2009, 2010. So there's like a 3-year window, 4-year window of where things really ramped up.
Okay.
Tried meth. Really liked meth. really liked meth. Cocaine. And then, like, I can remember I had a buddy, I called him my toxic twin. Kind of like how Nikki Sixx and Slash, if you ever read the Heroin Diaries, they called themselves the Toxic Twins. So he was my running buddy. Played music. He's sober now. He's a father. Real super great guy. Still in contact with him, but we've done some shit together.
Oh, yeah.
He taught me how to play a bunch of music and introduced me to folk punk and all this stuff. And first time I ever did crystal meth was with him. And then we went to Walmart at like 7:30 in the morning after being up all night, and I was buying formula for my kids like a responsible parent.
Right.
But I can remember, like, it was like in the cartoons, like the high speed, the freight train, the steam engine locomotive just churning and burning, and just that's what was going on in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing. Like, where have you been? And I had a neighbor that was a Desert Storm vet, a hippie. We would get fucked up and listen to Widespread Panic and a bunch of jam bands on his porch and whatnot. And I've always been the guy that knew how to get things. And so he's like, hey man, can you you can get me this, and I found some Coke for him, and he's like, want some? I was like, yeah, I told myself to stay away from it, and I did, and it was over.
Yeah.
So, said I always had an affinity for Go Fast, and the first time I ever billed myself as Six Gun Justice was this event called Street Folk Music Fest. There's an artist in Newark. He's a huge inspiration to me, good buddy of mine. Had this idea for the show, just bringing a bunch of local talent, and I billed myself as Six Gun Justice because, like I said, I was watching Tombstone, and I was like, man, things were simpler back then. You had an issue with somebody, you just dealt out some Six Gun Justice. Hey, that's really good. Like, you handled it with the business end of a six gun, some Six Gun Justice. And I was like, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
And I ran with that for a long time because I always was a solo artist. But I also had access to musicians. So, like, I ran with hippies. They played hand drums and djembes. It's like I actually taught my buddy how to play a country backbeat on the djembe. And he would sit in with me while I played, like, Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and, Merle Haggard and Skinner and stuff like that. And I just kind of fell in love with performing and stuff like that. But, I mean, it wasn't my identity yet. Like, I played music under Six Gun Justice, but I didn't become Six Gun till a couple years later. And that's when things really took a turn. So, I mean,
what was that like, that progression into it? Because I'm sure, like, once it starts, and I've seen plenty of people go down this road, like, you start, like, they're on all the shows with you or whatever, and then they get, like, a little fucked up, then a little bit more, then a little bit more, then all of a sudden you just stop seeing them at shows, they stop putting out music, like.
So the problem is,
and it's that falling in love with, like, the romanticizing the idea of, like, because you referenced the Heroin Diaries. I read The Dirt when I was a little kid, like the Motley Crue book, and I was like, these guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just 400 pages of, like, war stories by, like, crybaby millionaires.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is not something to look up to and romanticize.
Right.
Like,
I also grew up with a brother who was in music, and so I was kind of got to run with him for a little bit in his band. I've been around him my whole life, and was raised around bands and musicians, and so it was just I was for all I considered, I was fulfilling just the next step in life. But I was also a very broken, like, I didn't realize then, I realize it now looking back, that I've done a lot of healing and things like that, just how broken I was. Because during that time, I was very selfish and self-centered. I didn't realize that at the time, but looking back now, thanks to the program and everything like that, a lot of things make sense. So when I wasn't loved correctly, I found it other places. And so I started falling in love with being a performer. And I can remember the moment that it went from playing music as Six Gun Justice to when I became Six Gun Justice. And it was a page right out of Walk the Line. As a matter of fact, I was playing the song. Not Walk the Line, but I was playing.
Right.
If you remember the movie, when Johnny Cash gets loaded for the first time on stage and he's playing Get Rhythm, and it's like really starting to hit him, he throws his guitar behind his back and he grabs the microphone. I literally did that on stage.
Yeah.
And the reaction that I got from the crowd was exactly what I was looking for at the time.
like a hit of dope.
Yeah.
It was. And it was so intoxicating. And I was already, fucked up at the time.
Right.
Because I played outlaw country and southern rock. So I started basically like a manifest destiny. Like, I started fulfilling this role of this whiskey drinking hell-raising outlaw. Because I was always the guy that played country at Tony's. Because Tony's in Newark was kind of like it's a mixed bag, but like
It's a nice way to call it a shithole.
Oh, no, it's a dive. And I still love going to Tony's. I still got very fond memories of Tony's.
Yeah.
One of my good buddies is a bartender at Tony's still, and it's the All-American Dive Bar. It even says it on the sign. Like, it's a shithole dive, but it's, it was home. And So we just, they had PBRs for $1 draft there. So like you go down with $5.
Yeah.
At least catch buzz. You can always
Right.
get somebody to, cough up a buck or two. So it was easy to get fucked up down there. So I mean, my drinking really took off during that time. Influenced by other, drugs and illicit substances and things like that. But a lot of it was because of the shit that was going on at the time. I was always morally gray. And so when things start going on, it's easier and easier to cross that line. Being diplomatic and tiptoeing around, certain content, but
Sure.
Right.
it's just one of those like during that time I was gonna get mine, whatever that meant. Mm-hmm. Selfish, self-centered. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to party. Mm-hmm. I was good time Charlie. I can remember staying at the bar till bar closed, go to the after party afterwards, drag my ass back home, and try to be a dad with the birds chirping and the sun rising.
Yep.
During that time, I got a band. So basically, it was just a bunch of underage kids. I don't think a single one of them was 21. A bunch of redneck kids. One kid could play guitar. He could play lead. Everyone else was singers. I think I had like fucking 7, 8 singers. Like, we got told that we were too loud because like we just in your face, brash bunch of drunk rednecks is all we were. And we'd show up and we'd fuck shit up. Like, that's what we did. We got drunk, fuck shit up. And my house turned into a flop house, pretty much. There was a party all the time. It was like a house of ill repute. I had 2 kids there, you know what I mean? Like, looking back, it was fucking crazy. Like, what was that? Just the craziness that they talk about, you know what I mean? Like, you don't realize just how psychotic your life really is.
And how normal the insanity becomes.
That's it, yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, looking back, you'd be like, of course that's fucking nuts. But at the time, it's like, well, I gotta get drunk and high and party as much as I possibly can.
Beg, borrow.
Kids gotta live somewhere. Like,
Borrow, steal, whatever I can. Like your wife that you're separated from, that you're still living with, shouldn't tell you to not bang your girlfriend so loud.
Yeah,
that really happens.
Yeah.
It's like, can you kind of keep it down? Like, I'm trying to sleep up here. I'm like, yeah, okay, buzzkill. the shit that I did back then, like, I look back and I'm like, how did I not die?
Yeah.
And like I didn't think I was going to live to see 30. Like, honestly, when I hit 30, I was like, fuck, what do I do now? Yeah. I didn't plan this far ahead. Like, by all efforts, I was going to go out at 27, like some of my idols, you know what I mean? Like, I wrote a song about Robert Johnson, the original 27, the blues man. Cobain, Hendrix, Joplin. Like, my mom's favorite singer was Janis Joplin. So I grew up with this romanticizing of rock and roll and living that sex, drugs, rock and roll lifestyle because it's all I seen. So, like, and my real dad was a criminal. He was a bank robber. So, like, the first 7 years of my life was spent visiting him in Chillicothe. I went past there the other day and took a picture and sent it to my mom and said, hey, past Dad's old place.
Oh, shit.
She didn't think it was as funny as I did, but, So, yeah, like, I remember turning 27 and thinking, damn, I'm not nearly famous enough yet. Maybe I should just, like, go on a crime spree and then just have, like, the fact that I played music attached to it, so that way, I still get the 27, the nod at 27.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but, I can remember having that talk with myself, like,
Sure.
I'm not nearly famous enough yet at 27. But it's just, dude, it was chaotic for a long time. It didn't get any better the older I got. Like, it got worse. Just because it was just one. So, let me think here.
So you hit 30, doing this. You've like fully embraced like the 6-gun, sex, drugs, rock and roll stuff. Got the party house going. The 2 kids.
I was almost 30. So about 2013, I was separated from my wife. We'd lost the house. I was living with my girlfriend and her husband at the time, who didn't know that we were sleeping with each other. Her and I got into it, and like I lost my job, lost my house, lost everything, all in like Memorial Day weekend 2013.
Oh.
So I was like, what the hell do I do now? Luckily, I had some good friends that had a piece of property out in Perry County, out past Somerset, called it the Meadows. It was a great place. We used to go out there, have campouts. We all played music. Like, first time I ever did Molly was out there, and it was fucking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
that's a fun story. I'll segue into that one real quick,
Go for
because
it.
that was a great story. So, of course, being selfish, you
Yeah.
know, like, we had formed this, like, little super group of open mic night musicians. We called it Random Acts of Refusion. So we had this big, like, party out there. Had stage set up, lights going, everything like that, and we were, like, the headliners, right? And basically it was, like, 3 or 4, like, open mic night acts that just kind of got together and started a band. So I was playing rhythm guitar and singing some songs. So my drummer comes up, and he's got this cigarette cellophane with some powder in it. He's like, hey, you want to do some Molly? I was like, hell yeah, let's chop this up. Like, cut one out. He's like, no. You dip your finger in the bag, and, you know, you put it on your tongue. Weak, whatever.
Right.
So he turns away to talk to somebody, and I'm like, and I scoop it like it's fucking Fun Dip.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like,
yeah.
a half hour later, I'm sitting there playing, and like, you know, in the movies, like when like the acid hits or the drugs hit, and it's like this like warp. It's like,
Yeah.
literally what happened. I'm sitting there, and like the lights just start pulsing, and I'm like, yeah. I get instantly happy, and I'm playing the best I've ever played, and yeah. Woke up later with my boots in the fire. Like, God knows what I did. You know what I mean? I felt like, what was that movie? Get Him to the Greek, like, you know, the Jeffrey.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
things were just all fuzzy, and it was all warm. And but again, that's, you know, that was the selfishness. Like, if one's good, two's better. I'm not gonna just dip my finger in. No, I'm gonna take from you so I get mine.
Of a substance I've never tried.
Dude,
before.
I've never done before.
It's
And
not
I
like
don't
you're
know
like
how
a
I'm gonna
seasoned, like,
react.
Yeah.
Never done it before in my life. I may have
Right.
taken ecstasy a time or two, but like, this was pure MDMA.
It's a far cry
Right.
from dipping.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
No, I was
Yes.
fucking rolling.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
great time. Fantastic. Fantastic. Melted my boots in the fire. Like,
Right.
Yeah. It was good. So I ended up moving out to the Meadows, and had my kids with me. They were 2 and 3 years old at the time. Living in a camper in the middle of Perry County, homeless. Like, and it rained almost every day. When it didn't rain, I helped work the property. It was pretty fucking terrible. Like, I'd been to jail before, and it, you know, this was about like being in jail. I didn't know when I was getting out. I didn't know what my next move was. I was feeding them anything that I can make in a microwave, and trying to figure it out. And I reconnected with a woman that I went to school with years ago, and ended up moving back towards my hometown and reestablishing myself up there, which leads into probably one of the most destructive time periods in my life. And so that was 2013. Yeah, 2013. I played more music during that time than I ever had. And like my career, which I shouldn't even use air quotes now, because I just got that text the other day. Like,
Yeah.
so I got a buddy of mine that lives in Virginia, right? And I rode motorcycles with him, and he sends me this Snapchat of my sticker on the back of an SUV in Lee County, Virginia.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like-
But that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I can understand if it was like maybe, you know, West Virginia or,
Right.
you know, Kentucky. Like, I know people there.
Yeah.
You're getting one state removed.
Yeah,
That's a whole
like,
nother-
I think the furthest south I ever played that wasn't a part of a motorcycle event was like Jackson, Ohio. So like
Sure.
these guys, because I mean, I opened for some of the biggest names in country rap, and so like if they had been around Columbus or anything like that, like, you know, they probably, because I had a hell of a merchandise game because I was shit at singing. Like, so I was way better on paper than I was actually in person, which I don't give myself nearly enough credit, I guess. But
Dude, the merchandise thing is a whole nother art form.
oh, dude,
Because when I first started doing live shows, like, it's one thing I was just so focused on, like, I've got to like nail this like 12-minute opening set in front of 40 people. Like, this has to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean shit. What means shit is how you can like reel people in from behind your merch booth to fucking make some goddamn gas money to get there.
So when you've
That's
got
the move.
when you've
That's
got a
the
name
art.
like Six Gun or Six Gun Justice,
Yeah.
the merchandising it sold itself because I had this revolver logo and it SIXGUN.
Yeah.
Black and white, simple enough.
Yeah.
It was, some of it kind of looked like, like biker themed, like, kind of like a, back patch for a club or something like that. But I mean, I sold merchandise just on the revolver logo alone. People had no idea that I even played music. Like, that's a dope ass logo.
Yeah.
Thanks. I play music. Oh, really? I don't care, buy a shirt.
Cool. Give me a shirt.
Give me 10, 20 bucks. Yeah.
But I mean, I've also like I had hats, embroidered hats, because I mean I went to shows, so I'm a hat guy. I knew exactly what hat I wanted because it was the kind that everybody else was. I wanted it embroidered. I made sure my shirts were silk screened and not pressed. Like,
Right.
there's a flag of mine hanging in a barbershop in Western Canada right now.
Nice.
Because a guy that shout out Blue Core Barbershop. I don't know if I could do that, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. What up, Jason? Met him opening. Him and his buddy follow around a group called the Moonshine Bandits, which are big in country rap. I've opened for him a few times, partied with them, and that was a good story actually. Trip to Findlay one time. But like, they were in Columbus, Ohio, and I had my kids with me at the show. And when you've got 5 and 6 year old blonde hair, blue eyed kids, hawking your merch, like they clean these guys out, like. But they're good people. But yeah, it was a trip to see a random Snapchat of my logo in fucking Virginia of all places.
Oh yeah,
like it's crazy. You don't realize the reach that you had.
Oh yeah,
because you're still running and gunning and just
for sure
one show to the next. But
so you move out of the meadows in the trailer,
right?
And then where are you moving to?
Shreve, which Wayne County, about 14 miles from my hometown, small town.
Right.
And excuse me, get a factory job, start living the normal life, I guess. Coach my son's wrestling, like all that jazz.
And we dialing back on like drugs at this
No,
time? Okay.
no,
Never mind.
nope. Everything picked up. Like, you want to talk about living a dual life? Like, I'm a member of the community and things like that. Like, people know who I am, and I'm living this alter ego. Like, I slipped further into the Six Gun persona. So, like, during that time, like, I got a group of friends. Live outside of Millersburg. Good group of guys. But, they're drinkers. So, like, I found my people. So we go out there, we do redneck shit, ride four-wheelers, built a motorcycle out there, and the whole time just drinking. And, sorry, dog snoring.
Her snoring does not, it doesn't pick up on the microphone, so we're good.
It got me.
Yeah.
But, like, I started playing more and more music, and that's when I, like, started doing the opening shows for like the national acts. So it's funny because one of the first shows I did was for a group called the Lax. They're from Georgia, the country rap. Well, they call it dirt rock is their brand of stuff now. But around the time that Brantley Gilbert was starting to get popular, Cole Ford, these guys were on Cole Ford's label for a while, and it's kind of how I found them. I listened to them, I liked them. I actually started listening to them when I was still in Newark. Because Brantley Gilbert was a huge influence on me, that whole country rock, the outlaw kind of deal. So flash forward, I move up to Shreve, and I start working this job. Guy that works there was going to go see the Lax. I was like, next time you go, I want to go. So I go see it. That's when I meet all the guys from 304, And then I get this, I forget how I seen it on Facebook, something like that. I seen this opportunity that this promoter here in Columbus, her name was Mary Kaufman, fantastic lady. She passed on, she mainly booked metal. It was a short little German woman, but she mainly booked metal at the Alrosa. Decided to start, take a chance on this country rap stuff. So I met with her and whatnot, and I got the opening spot for the Lax at the Alrosa. Weird side note, my wife now was at that show in 2015.
Yeah.
I didn't meet her until 3 years later at the same place opening for the same group.
Yeah.
That's when like the universe actually put us together. But like she showed me the ticket the other day. We were cleaning out some stuff when we were moving. I was like, I know that ticket. I was like, you were there?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. I was like, do you remember me? She's like, no. I was the first one to go on though, so it's it's
She's still in the parking lot, like walking in.
probably I hadn't got there yet, whatever. But regardless, I was there the whole night. We were in the same place.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
wild. Yeah.
3 years prior to actually like our meeting. So I killed it. Like I did a great job. And so like she liked it. I sold a lot of tickets because I had a lot of friends that listened to that music. So I was traveling to Columbus all the time, and I was a local supporter. But I was never good enough to like get a hotel on the rider or anything like that. Not to mention, I was having a hard time getting booked in my home area. So I was having to go to Akron or, Canton, Mansfield, like an hour radius from where I lived.
Yeah.
So I started using speed. It was like an insurance policy. Like literally.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, the drug usage has always been there, but like I really started taking like Adderall and, Vyvanse and some, the ADHD medicine and whatnot, along with, actual crystal meth, which came in a lot more prevalent later. But because like I had this persona of, I would go to the bar and I would drink, and I literally had a bar owner tell me, you're kind of shit at singing, but you throw a hell of a party. I was like, is that why you keep me here and pay me and pour expensive Scotch whiskey down my throat? He's like, yeah, because you keep asses in my bar. It's the most backhanded compliment I've ever gotten in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, fuck it. I guess I'm drinking. Like I was good at it.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing is, like being a solo acoustic act, I'm not going to play Jack Johnson or, some coffee house shit.
Right.
I'm playing Skinner. I'm playing, Cash. I'm playing Outlaw Country. We're going to get drunk. We're going to have a fucking party.
Yeah.
I've opened for a lot of these groups numerous times. I opened for the Lax up in Cleveland at the Odeon. Somebody handed me a shot while I was in the middle of playing Folsom Prison Blues. Didn't know it was a double. Slammed it, threw it up on stage, kept playing.
Hell yeah.
I've literally been so drunk that I was had to be at a party at the garage there in Holmes County. They were holding me up. I couldn't stand under my own power. I couldn't sing. I'd be damned if I didn't miss a chord change. Like I was too drunk to function, but I could play guitar.
Right.
So it was like, this was just who I am, But my marriage was shit at the time, and I just wasn't happy. Settled for a lot of things that I shouldn't have. So I escaped. I was drinking, fighting, and fucking anything I could, like, honestly. Which, looking back, it almost killed me, but it also led me to where I'm at. Because if I hadn't have went through those things, and if I hadn't have been that person, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Like, quite literally. I never really had any serious consequences with the law or anything like that. I mean, most of them was just pissed off spouse because I was drunk again. Get drunk, get mouthy, whatever. Never got DUIs. Never got drug charges. Never had to go to rehab or anything like that. Which, dude, the amount of felonies that I've committed.
Oh yeah.
And gotten away from just from driving drunk.
Oh, sure.
Like I mentioned that whole Finley thing. Like we had a 30 rack of Bush and a handle of whiskey going to see this concert in Finley. Ended up partying at a biker clubhouse afterwards. We were drunk on the way up there and drunk on the way back.
Oh yeah.
I used to play in biker clubhouses and get paid in drinks and then like drink chips and then drive back to Newark. Like, I remember coming around 270 with a fifth of whiskey to my face, passing cars on the inside. I didn't even have a driver's license. Drunker than shit.
Yeah.
Like, that was always my thing. Like, even back in high school, like, if I got drunk, I was driving home. I wasn't sleeping in my car. I wasn't sleeping at the party. Mm-hmm. Maybe it had something to do with, like, passing out at the party and getting fucking eggs thrown on my
unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
From,
of course. Yeah. Everything in my life goes back to unresolved trauma. Like, and I'm learning that now, like, being in counseling and going through the program and stuff like that, like, trying to heal a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's the addiction and everything, but all of that stems from somewhere. And a lot of it is fear, low self-worth, just, you know, wanting to be the life of the party because I was always made to feel like I was nothing. I was very emasculated for a long time, and so, like, I always had this false bravado, and I always had to be bigger than life. My dad was an actor. He was, you know, my real dad, he was a con man too. So, like, that whole from Tommy Boy, like, sell ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. Like, this man he got the lead role in Fiddler on the Roof at the Mansfield Playhouse. Was on the front page of the Mansfield News Journal and everything. In, like, March of '84. Like, I had just been born because he talked about me in the paper. Decided to go rob a bank 2 towns over in his Tevye costume. Oh, like, God. You're not gonna know who that was. Like, just the balls of this man. Yeah. And I get it. Like, you know, like, you guys know me. Like, yeah. AJ can probably do some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like,
the Minnesota Defectives podcast is brought to you by Ride Sober, an online community for sober bikers.
At RideXSober on social media and RideXSober.com.
Check them out today for apparel like t-shirts, hoodies, hats, riding gloves, and garage banners.
Ride sober, boldly sober.
Boldly sober.
You know,
it's also something, like, to live up to. Like, you fully embrace, like, the 6 gun persona, like, living, breathing it, drugs, alcohol. I'm the son of a bank robber. Like, this is my destiny type thing.
I actually have a song that I wrote, country rap song, called Second Generation Outlaw. You know, and, like, I talk about how I've got the shortest jail sentence of my family, and you know, the son of a banker. Like, I'm a legitimate second generation outlaw,
right?
You know, and I've had this conversation. People are like, "Oh, well, you've only done 10 days in jail for possession of criminal." I was a graffiti artist when I was 21 and got caught. Like, right? You know, like, you know, you ain't no outlaw. Well, isn't the definition of an outlaw operating outside of the law? Like, good outlaws don't get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
You can't be a good outlaw if you're in jail. Like, so, but I mean, yeah, I just was not reclused, but, like, fell further and further into this alter ego, and, like, to the point where, like, I was a mean drunk. I'd fight my friends. Like, you know, I've been in bar fights. I've looked down the barrel of guns. Like, my kid's mom one time during the height of my drinking, because my drinking was real bad in Newark, because I was bar fighting all the time. Like, I go back now, and everyone's talking about the fights that I used to get into. I mean, ask me what I'm doing now. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But she's like, "Don't you got a death wish?" And I'm like, I don't know. Can't really answer that. I mean, I think, yeah. Like, I love the adrenaline. I love the thrill of it all. And at the time, like I said, I didn't think I was going to make it past 30. So what the fuck? Right. Like, I don't care. If that's how I go, I go. But I've, you know, mental instability, mental health issues and everything. It just went unresolved or untreated for a long time. And finally, it just got to a point where, you know, like, back in 2019, well, I guess 2018, I met my wife. She saw me in 2018. We talked for like a year and then finally met face to face in 2019. I realized that the universe put me on the path with my soulmate. Like, it was kind of one of those, like, I never believed in love at first sight. I thought it was all, you know, bullshit from the movies. Yeah. Till like the first time I kissed her, and like, I I don't know if it's Hindu or whatever, but that whole namaste, like soul recognizing your soul. And that's what it was. It was like, oh, there you are. It was the second I kissed her, it was like something in me, I found you again. And I knew then that this is where I needed to be. And so, I mean, that didn't really change the drugs and alcohol, because, I mean, she liked that I was a bad boy. I rode a motorcycle and played music. She saw me on stage at the Alrosa, like,
Right.
you know, wearing a leather jacket and all this stuff. So I kind of leaned harder into that. And then, you know, the more that we developed into a life together, my drinking got real out of control. My drug usage got really out of control. Like, really out of control. At that point, cocaine probably took over more than the drinking. And I always justified it because, well, it's not meth. You know,
Right.
I'm making high class white trash money now. So like, you know, I'm doing coke. Like, I'm not that much of a fucking degenerate. Like,
Right.
but it, you know, my drug usage really escalated, to the point where even I was concerned of how much cocaine I could do in an evening. And I was starting to get scared. And it just that restless was the incomprehensible demoralization.
Yep.
When you're making that phone call to the plug at 6 a.m. and you're just fucking praying he doesn't pick up, but old Mr. Reliable.
Yep.
Hello? Fuck.
Here we go.
All right. Going to the hood.
Yep.
You know, you leave the house and you got your gun on you. You have a story prepared of why you're in that neighborhood when you're from Grove City. You got a plan, you know, all the way out to the text you're going to send if you're in trouble, so on and so forth. Who does that? Who lives like that? I mean, other than addicts. And
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you guys get it.
We do.
And the worst part about that is you're going to go do all that at 6 a.m. and you're passing everyone else on the road. They're fucking going to work.
They're going to
like,
work.
they've been awake for an
Yeah.
hour and they're like going to work to
Drinking
be put up-
coffee.
Yeah.
The best
That's
is
the
when you've
worst.
been up all night and you're like waiting for Lowe's to or Home Depot to open up so you could go get paint because you decide you want to paint your deck. And you run into your buddy from the gym.
Oh, fuck. Tweaked out of your mind.
Fucking twacked out.
Yeah, right.
And immediately was just like, I feel seen. I've never been more vulnerable.
Oh.
And because, like, he says he knew. I don't know if he did or not, but I mean, everything in me was like, he knows you fucked
knows.
up. He knows you're.
Probably knew.
He's a good guy. He's
Yeah.
like salt of the earth, one of my best dudes. Like,
Hell yeah.
honestly, he's pretty integral in my change over the last couple of years. And I felt like I let him down, even though he had no idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of those, like, the beginning of the end. But I tell you what, middle of summertime, after being up all day with a head full of cocaine trying to paint your fucking deck, terrible fucking idea. Actually, I think I had these shorts on. I got paint on them.
You texted me that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
You did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I was trying to get him to paint my
Trying to get
deck.
me to do it. I'm like, no.
Yeah, so at that point, Jerry and I had already met.
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
We got
How'd that
time?
happen?
We got
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
So I'm wearing this shirt kind of as it was supposed to be kind of tongue in cheek, but it's Ride Your Ride apparel. Like I said, I ride motorcycles. I know Jerry through motorcycles, but he followed a guy named Sean Rice who had started a company called Ride Your Ride. Sean and I have been, I call him Bodie. We used to ride and be in the same motorcycle group together years back. So I remember when he started this company, and I wouldn't say I've helped him, build it, but I was always, me and my other best friend would always, we're in a group chat. He'd bounce ideas off and things like that, and kind of be like the testing ground. He told me that what was it, probably 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That he was getting a booth for the first time. There was this motorcycle event at Moto Boutique up on Georgesville Road, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this! Like, we're gonna be official. Like, we got a booth." And walked these. It was you, Chris, and Dan.
Yeah.
And my bike's there, and of course I just get to talking and whatnot, and talking about my bike, and I totally stereotyped them, and turns out I was.
He started talking shit right off the rip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
First off, I was like, you guys are probably into like the newer choppers and like the like the lowbrow customs and stuff like that. And I was like, you're wearing Vans and Levi's straight legs. He's like, well, first off, fuck you.
Yeah, right.
But yes. Then I went over to his house for the first time, and he's got all the banners in his garage.
Yeah.
I'm like, nailed it. But so that's when I met Jer, and so like, still using, still drinking, stuff like that. Like, just being a complete fucking degenerate.
Did you mention anything about that to Jerry when you guys first met?
So, funny thing, okay,
Or was that something you picked up on?
First time we
Like,
all
those
rode
guys
together.
Twacked out and talked to me?
It was the first time we all rode together. So we had started messaging back and forth after we met.
Yeah.
We exchanged Instagrams or whatever, and then he just came over to hang out in the garage, and then we were going to go on a ride later, just to ride around.
Because I didn't have anybody really in Columbus that I rode with.
Yeah.
I was like, here's 3 guys, like, fuck it, let's go ride. Mm-hmm. And go ahead.
Oh no, we went out to that little bar on
Was that 10 Mile Inn?
Yeah, 10 Mile Inn on
Yeah.
Broad Street. Yeah.
And so like this is my first time. It was you, Dan, and Chris.
Yes.
And so like I ride like an absolute fucking demon, right? And so like I think it was
that was
Chris,
like your second time riding.
Chris's second time riding, longest ride he's ever taken.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, don't be an asshole to these guys. Like I'm wanting to like lane split and cut down the bike lane, and like it was brutal for me to ride with these guys. Right?
Oh, I can't imagine.
But I wasn't gonna be an asshole. I do have some couth. So we ride out to the bar. And my big thing, like, I loved drinking and riding. Like, because
Not the first guest we've had on.
no,
Yeah.
well, where I'm from,
I love doing the most dangerous activity known to man.
yeah, actually, my bike knows how to pilot itself while I'm drunk. Like, it's like a horse knowing how to get home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I've been to way too many biker parties, completely shit-faced wasted. Like, I did hot laps around a campground in Sturgis.
What's a hot lap?
Like, we had the entire campground to ourselves, and so, like, it was probably, I don't even know how long it was, but, like, there was, like, trails, like, around.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, my bike wasn't roadworthy enough at the time to ride on the actual, like, to go to Mount Rushmore or anything like that, but it would do 35 miles an hour around camp. With me hammered fucking drunk. Yeah. And so I spent the entire week that I was in Sturgis drunk riding around camp. Yeah, I've done a lot of dumb shit on my motorcycle. I got really, really high on meth one time, and the people I was with was like, "You're not gonna ride your bike right now," because I've been drinking real heavy too, but the speed counteracted it. I was like, I am absolutely not leaving my bike right here, and I've never been more focused to ride my bike than I am right now.
Hell
only
yeah.
5 miles to town. Rode like hell.
Okay, so when you
so we
met up with
yeah.
these guys.
So we ride out to 10 Mile Inn, and because where I was going with that was where I'm from. There's a bar like every fucking half hour. So, and I grew up riding with older cats that we would you could spend an afternoon going from bar to bar. You can get beer and a shot at every bar, whatnot, a couple beers, and then move on to the next one. So we ride out there to get a bite to eat, and I'm like, I'll buy you guys drinks. I think Chris got a beer. You might have.
I don't think you did. It was your second time riding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
did.
did.
Yeah,
you
no,
were too
definitely
scared.
not. Yeah.
I'm not trying to call anybody. I just couldn't remember.
He did.
But Jerry and Dan looked at me and they're like, "We're sober." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. You guys mind if I drink?" So I had probably a double wild turkey and a few PBRs, and
Right.
by the time we left out of there, I was a little floaty. You know what I mean? But that was business as usual for me.
Yeah.
But that's when I found out that he'd been in recovery and stuff like that. And so like the more we got to talking, like he'd come over to the garage and we was just hanging out in the garage playing guitar, and I was drinking. And I just got to talking about some of the same shit we're talking about today. He's like, "Man, you'd be really good to tell your story in recovery." It's the first time I'd had people tell me like, "Oh, you should be a motivational speaker," and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So he told me that, and I was like, I don't know, maybe there's something to this. And then, a couple more.
Jerry Appleseed over here.
That's exactly what it
seeds.
Yes, planting
Over
seeds.
here. Yep.
A couple more times of getting really drunk and mouthing off to my wife and treating her worse than she, deserved. And I finally kind of got sick of my own shit and turned 40, had a hell of a birthday party, and did way, way too many drugs. Like, I probably did so much cocaine I couldn't even talk. I found my limit, by the way. I was like, I'm just fucking done. Like, I was going for my second 8-ball at 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. And I had already done like 1.5 grams to myself before that. And I just remember coming around the fucking corner on Greenlawn, like on 71 at Greenlawn Avenue, my head on the window just going, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, what the fuck are you doing? That incomprehensible demoralization. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the lowest I have ever been. Like, I've been drunk and almost ran over my friends.
Yeah.
Like, like I said, passed out and been pissed on, things like that. Like, I've been puking places, like, drunk cheating, not remember. Like, I've done some pretty debaucherous shit. But I'm just like, I'd hit that limit that they talk about in the program. Like, just, your lowest low isn't always your...
Physically.
Yeah. It's not always the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like...
Seems like it rarely is the one.
No, because we never learn.
Yeah, it's always like what you're describing, just like it wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best, but it was just the end. It was just... That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, I was that guy that would get drunk and have to wake up the next day and call 3 of my friends to piece together the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how'd I get home? I had to walk the car, walk around the car and make sure I didn't hit nothing.
Yep. Why do I have a black eye? Where's all
my
money?
Seriously,
yeah.
Checking bar receipts, the whole 10 yards, like. And I mean, I made a career out of getting fucked up. Like, it was my whole persona. Mm-hmm. And now I've got it over a year. What is today? 5th?
Yes.
On the 13th will be a year and a month.
Hell yeah.
Clean.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
For somebody that couldn't go more than a few days. Mm-hmm. Like, my wife even had to tell me, because she's an RN. She's like, when I go to work, I don't want you drinking. Like, I don't want you drinking at home with the kids. Mm-hmm. Just because I couldn't be...
You can't be trusted.
Yeah.
It's there's no off switch.
I put my kids through hell. Like, I'm not... I wasn't the greatest dad. Because I was healing... I was going through shit. I didn't know what was going on. And doing the best that I could with what I knew, because my upbringing sucked, and you add alcohol and stuff in the mix. Like, my daughters had to put me to bed before. Like, I've been out in the garage I know how to tear my bike. I knew how to tear my bike down better drunk than I did sober. Because, like, I remember trying to replace the neck bearings on my bike one time, and as the more drinks that I poured, the worse it got. And my daughter, who was 12, 13 at the time, trying to help me install this fucking bearing race, and like, she had no idea what she was doing, but I'm hammering shit, and like, she's like, okay, Dad, I think it's time to put the tools down and go to bed. Like,
So what was that like? So you're coming up 71, you got your head in the glass after your 40th birthday, and you're like, this is just fucking it. Like, what's your next your first move after that?
Well, I mean, I went and got more cocaine, and I was on my way to re-up, dog. Like,
okay, never mind.
As soon as I got home and did another line, all that was out the window. Until I got to the point where I like couldn't fucking talk anymore, and I'm like, I'm just, I made the decision. I was like, I'm just fucking done. And I think it might have been the next day. I think I got a hold of you, or the day after, and
Next
I'm like,
day after,
what is this program all about?
Yeah.
And it was probably 2 weeks, because that was the 12th. I think it was the 24th I went in. Would have been probably the first meeting I went to.
Yeah.
And I was skeptical. Like, I didn't know. I was like, hearing these stories, and everybody's been to Mary Haven and all these different
places. Yeah, because so far in your story, you really haven't been...
I've never been to rehab.
Treatment, detox, jail.
No, I just drank and did more drugs. Like, I just, I made, like I said, I made a career out of it. I was really good at getting fucked up. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, no serious consequences. So I knew in the back of my mind I needed to slow down, but I didn't have the ability. And So, like, I remember after the first couple meetings, I cornered him out in the parking lot. I was like, dude, I don't fucking belong here. Like, and it wasn't like I've heard guys say, like, oh, I'm not like these guys. Like, in a hoity-toity way. I'm like, I don't have nearly the backstory that some of these guys do. Like, and he's like, that's what makes you special. Like, you're white knuckling the shit out of this right now. Like, you chose this. You weren't forced into it. I still don't know if I believe it. I still think you're full of shit. I do. I love you, but I think you're full of shit.
Oh, shit.
But honestly, like I said, you know, I believe everything's connected. There are no coincidences in this world. And like I said, if it wasn't for motorcycles, if it wasn't, you know, you can trace it back however you want.
Yeah.
You know, but every decision we've ever made has led us to the moment that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. You know, even like meeting you, realizing that through, you know, we ran in the same circles. Like we've got friends that are in the music industry, you know, like the local scene and stuff like that. Like when you introduced yourself, I was like, oh, I've heard of you. Like I don't know if we've ever done a show together, because I used to have to do hip hop shows, and because as a country rapper, you know, I can't fill up an entire 3 hours by myself, and that demographic doesn't necessarily want to hear, you know, my country ass version of Dr. Dre.
Right.
So I've had to jump on a few rap shows in Columbus where I was a fish out of water, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, but
So what's this past year been for you? Like, it's cool. I think you're the first person we've had on that's like just hit like the year mark, and it's been like, because you started coming around Monday nights for like, so I mean, I've been there since the jump as well. Obviously, Jerry's there before.
Getting sober is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking done. And I say that because I've got absolutely nothing to hide from. Yeah. Like, I've got no way to, I have to face everything. They say fear is face everything. Was it face everything and rise, or face everything and run, depending on how you want to do it?
Yeah.
I've never been much of a runner. You know, I'm fat. I'd much rather fight. But I realized through going through the program and stuff like that, and working the steps, that a lot of what I was doing was running. Like anything didn't go my way, any kind of ill feeling, anytime I didn't want to feel, it was drinking and drugs. So now I've had to face all of that, and it's been the hardest fucking thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah,
I've went through some pretty heavy shit this year, and just constantly, it's a constant onslaught. And what's good is through the program I've learned, they talk about the tool belt. I got the tools in my tool belt.
Yeah,
and I can identify instances where I'm like, oh, if I was drinking, this would have went completely different. Because not only my sponsor call, I love my sponsor. Jerry's actually
great.
He's actually Jerry's actually my grand sponsor.
Oh, Grandpa Jerry.
Grandpa, yeah.
So Jerry's my sponsor. He calls the program cognitive behavioral therapy, which I like that. I like the approach to it.
Yeah.
Because you know how addicts trade one thing for another. So mine is now, since I'm 41 years old, and you know, it's time for the gym.
Gym bro.
Yeah, I'm a full on fucking meathead now. Because I spent my 20.
Ain't nothing wrong with
whatever.
that.
No, I see your posts.
You are too.
I am championing you every time I see your post. I'm like, let's go. You work out at the Lifetime right down here?
Yes.
I passed it. I was like, I wonder if that's Millie's gym.
Bro, it is fucking expensive, but it's too close for me to.
No, I get it.
Do anything. Like, I just can't. I just got to do it.
Yeah, but like I dove in. I gotten COVID in 21, and I came out of quarantine on my birthday around the 12th. A lot of things happen around the 10th, 12th, 13th. 13th is my lucky number. And I was like almost 400 pounds. And so I started. It's kind of funny because I started my fitness and weight loss journey about the same time of year that I started my sobriety, but just different years.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that this past year of getting sober, I've lost the most weight. And I think it's because I finally got all of the toxins and all the, like, I was drinking liters of bourbon, like, on a Tuesday night for no fucking reason other than nobody to tell me no.
Just a quick 12,000 calories.
Yeah, just, whatever, it's fine. It's one rocks glass at a time.
Yeah.
But after I had my surgery in May, it was like, just everything just like spiraled down. And I'm just like, yeah, I had spinal fusion surgery.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Had to go through that with no painkillers.
You were back at the meeting after like
Yeah.
2
I did
because you told us about it, and then you missed like 1, maybe 2 weeks, and I saw you there. I was like, oh, bro, shouldn't you be like laid up still?
Yeah, I should have.
He couldn't help himself. He's like, oh no, I gotta do this. I'm gonna do that.
Now, and I will say,
Chill, bro.
I did go through my surgery and in my recovery. I did take some painkillers then, but it was as prescribed.
Yeah.
My wife had control of them.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
And it was just whatever they released me from the hospital with, because like when that was over, I went to go get a checkup and he's like, oh, it should have been more than that. And I was like, you know what? Nope. Hold it.
We're good.
Don't even.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of Tylenol and I'm a big fan of Advil.
Ativan.
No, not Ativan. I don't even know what that does. I've probably taken it before. I don't know.
I'm sure. Yeah,
you have.
Yeah.
I've ingested some pretty fucked up substances.
If you've done cocaine, you've done Ativan. We'll put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Advil was what I was gonna say.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, excellent.
But gee, it's kind of one of those, man. Just over the last year, you don't realize there's a lot of you follow health and fitness and stuff like that. There's a lot of like cliches, you know, like discipline, about discipline and motivation and shit. But you really don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong. Ooh, and I've also said that about like just the path that I'm on. Like you don't realize the path you're supposed to be on until you're walking it. And so like I've went through shit this year that otherwise would have folded me, and I still haven't had a reason to pick up.
Yep.
I still haven't had a reason to drink. God knows I've fucking tried.
Yeah.
But I got the love of a good woman that will not let me fail. Because if I'm left to my own fucking devices, it's over. But also, because I'm in counseling also, trying to work on my mental health and emotional regulation and things like that. Because I was primarily raised by women. Every man in my life, I feel, failed me. I didn't learn how to properly manage my emotions and things like that. So I was always very emotional, to the point where like I always needed validation. Like I said, I was emasculated by previous partners, things like that. There's just a lot of mixed bag of shit that I'm trying to unfuck right now. And the program really has helped me with that, because like it really forced me to peel back the layers and take a look at myself when I just used to mask everything and just run from it. Because I was trying to be this person, I was trying to be that person, I was trying to do this instead of just being me. And here, as of late, I'm learning who I am and what my role in this world is. And I'm starting to learn to be okay with AJ. I don't totally like the motherfucker yet, but he's growing on me. I hate myself a little less every day.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. For sure.
But it's definitely been a challenge. Like I said, but there's times, man, like they talk about the mental obsession. Mm-hmm. That's when I talk about alcohol being my worst best friend, it really was, because there was times where that bottle and that bourbon glass was there for me when no one else was. Mm-hmm. And I just, it's funny because my wife and I just watched the movie The Grey with Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the wolves?
Yeah.
So there's a poem in that. It's once more into the fray on the last good fight I'll ever know. To live and die this day, live and die this day. I have a bourbon glass with that etched into it. And it's my favorite, one of my favorite poems. And the other day I was getting into the cupboard to get a cup out to get water, because that's all that and energy drinks is all I drink now. And I seen that glass and I kind of got heartbroken. It's like losing a friend.
Yep.
Knowing that I'll never pour another drink in that. Because I just can't drink like normal people.
Yep.
It's not, and in my time in recovery, it was kind of funny because it's like, yeah, I had a problem drinking. Yeah, I had a problem with drugs. The two didn't go hand in hand, but they did go hand in hand. Because, like, not every time did I drink did I want to do drugs. And not every time, you know, when I was doing drugs, it was useless for me to drink. Like, if I did, it was just because I like drinking bourbon. Mm-hmm. Like, I got, you know, high-class white trash taste. Like, I would drink good, you know, moderately good bourbon and shit beer. Mm-hmm. So, like, I was drinking PBR and, like, Wild Turkey 101 or, like, you know, some, like, Four Roses or, you know, some good bourbon. But the two wrecked me in completely different ways. But there's times where it rears its head and I'm just like, God, it'd be so much fun right now. Like, I just want to fucking just to be in that moment. But
But then what do you do today when you get those like thoughts or urges?
Just remind myself that it's over. Because, you know, I made the joke about I hate myself a little less every day. I have this self-loathing that if I did that, I know I'm letting not only myself down, but I'm letting my wife down. I'm letting my friends down. All these people, not to mention I'm a very spiteful motherfucker. So, like, I know there's people out there that are like, he's going to fucking use. He's going to drink again. And I'm not going to do it just because I want to motherfucker those guys. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say, I'm not going to be one of those, oh, I got ops, I got haters.
Right.
But I know that there's people watching me from my past that are like, there's no way this motherfucker's clean. Mm-hmm. No, I'm 100% clean to this day.
Right.
And if the only thing keeping me going is to spite somebody else, then that's a good enough reason for me.
whatever works.
Yeah.
Hey, Mental Defectives.
Would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
So we can help you make a lot of money.
A whole lot of money.
Yeah. But no, I just keep thinking, like, they say it's, you don't pick back up where you left off, you pick up where you would have been if you never stopped.
Yes.
And I will be dead.
Yep.
Because there will be such a hole in me. The only way to even get past it is to put that shit in my body. And I'm either going to end up dead or in jail. One of the two.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Sure.
That, and I'm too fucking proud of myself right now for how far I've come. Like, you know, for somebody that, like I said, I should have, by all regards, I should have been a statistic. I statistically should not have made it as far as I have in life. When you stack everything up, that's why I tell people, like, you're not where you come from. Like, it plays a part, but there's too many people with victim mentalities that lean on that. Well, I can't do this because of where I'm from. Or I grew up like this. No, fuck you. Stop being a bitch. Like,
Tell him.
no, seriously, I can't do victim mentality. I got a tattoo on my hands that says this world owes you nothing. Because you sit and you cry and you boo-hoo about, you know, what didn't happen. Okay, well, what are you doing to get better?
Yeah.
You know, like, even now, like, I try to mentor men or, like, even young men because, like, I didn't have a good positive role model in my life. I had men around me, but they were toxic.
Yeah.
You know, like, just the environment that I was in. So, like, in the gym, there's, you know, young kids that will come up to me because evidently I look like I lift a lot of fucking weights. Like, I mean, I lift heavy, you know what I mean? And I try to be as personable as I can.
I saw you doing like 180-pound power cleans, and I was like, fuck.
Oh, yeah. I can.
Because I saw it, and I'm like, oh, he's just going to, like, do, like, rack pulls or, like, deadlift or something. And then I saw you, like, that. I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I can log press a lot.
So what advice do you have for someone starting a fitness journey and, like, how that can positively impact or negatively impact, like, your self-image? Because we were talking about that a little bit before we started filming about, like, what was it? You used a good term I hadn't heard before.
Bigorexia.
Bigorexia.
Yeah. So,
because you're down like 85 pounds or something.
Yeah, I'm encroaching on 100.
Yeah, that's a shit ton of weight in a year. Like, that's a lot.
Well, I tell you, bigorexia is, first time I heard it, it's about bodybuilders that you're never going to be as big as your last pump.
Yeah.
You know, and so, like, you see guys that work out, like, now I was always a fat dude and I was always strong, so I trained strongman, so like it was always about power to me. Now that I've lost weight and I've started getting some definition, like I understand aesthetics now. So like I get why bodybuilders do what they do. I'll catch myself in a light and I'm like, oh, okay. God, stop it. What are you doing? Like, but like, you know, bigorexia is you're never gonna be as big as your last pump. So you're always gonna be smaller than in your mind than what you are. Now, I use that as I'm always going to look in the mirror and see the guy that was 380 and unhealthy. Now, I'm still over 300 pounds, but I'm pretty damn healthy for a fat dude. Like, you know, like, and that's the thing is I still reference myself as fat because it's always going to be that way. I'm strong. I'm not as strong as I want to be. I'm not as strong as I'm going to be. And I'm still chasing a number on the scale, but the scale is the worst fucking metric of health that there is. And my wife and I talk about it all the time. And I put so much stock into what that number says and not how my clothes fit or
how you feel, how the weight, how the PRs are going up, like that. Yeah.
No, I step on the scale, and if it's up a pound because I need to take a shit or something, like, you know, I'm like, well, diet's screwed. Fuck it. You know? But like, you know, it's my advice to somebody is really just figure out what you want. Like, what you want. What do you want out of your health and fitness journey? Because, like, honestly, I'm a nerd. I research all this shit. I look stuff up. I read about peptides and this and, you know, calorie intake and all that, and like, probably more than I should. And like, it's funny because you wouldn't think to look at me that I would, you know, be like doing all this research and like, oh, well, actually, if you take this and do this. And so like a lot of people just overcomplicate it. Like if you're trying to lose weight, track your calories and drink water. It's that simple. Move your body. You don't have to do paleo. You don't have to do the carnivore. You don't have to do Atkins. You don't have to, you know, do all this shit. Just eat good food, drink your water, focus on protein, and move your fucking body. Like, go for a walk. Like, walking is one of the best things that somebody could do to lose weight. And, like, the endorphins that it releases, especially if you walk outdoors, because, like, I did a program called 75 Hard where you had to do, for 75 days, you had to do 2 workouts, 2 45-minute workouts, one of which must be outside. So I walked. I've done this program. I completed it one time. First time all the way through, which actually helped me get through the program. Because I was like, if I'm going to do this 75 hard, it's 1 shot, 1 kill. Ain't no half stepping with me. I did the same thing with the program. Like, I'm going to work my steps. I'm going to do this one time. I'm not going to have a bunch of different sobriety dates. I'm not looking down on anybody that does. Like, it's just not me. Like, that was another thing is like, I devoted myself to this and this is what it's going to be. And, so like, I just, you know, I like the challenge of it. I like the me versus me. And because at the end of the day, the only one you have to compare yourself to is you. Yeah. They say comparison's the thief of joy. But sometimes comparison's good. Like when I look back at a picture of where I was a year ago, like that's a good comparison. But if I'm comparing, you know, what I lifted yesterday versus what I lift today, sometimes it gets convoluted because maybe I didn't get enough sleep, maybe I didn't eat enough, maybe there's
healthy ways to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right.
Am I rambling?
No, you're good.
No, you're fine.
You got a motorcycle question?
Yeah. What do you guys got for me? Like,
well, when are you going to get a bike? Since you don't have one right now.
Oh.
No, I do not have one.
I know.
Don't bike shame this man.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to keep bike shaming him until he gets
I don't have a bike
one.
For a good reason. I gifted it to a friend of mine who didn't have one, mainly because I was tired of putting the damn thing on a trailer. Because I trailered it more than I rode it last year. And that's what happens when...
Sounds like a financially responsible decision is what it sounds like.
According to my wife, yes. She's like, you need to get rid of it. She's like, you need to get rid of the damn thing. Like, because she wouldn't ride with me. Like, she would ride. She'd been on a couple rides around town but like we never went on a trip. And I want more than anything to have me and her go for a day. Like ultimately the goal is for her to be on the back of my bike for good. Like, you know, that bike was the first bike she had ever been on the back of. And that's a level of trust. If you've ever had, there's nothing better than that. Like, I get it. It's, you know, shout out to the girls that ride. I get it. But there's nothing better than having your woman on the back of a bike.
I agree with that.
Like 100%. And even my wife's like, I don't know why they're riding motorcycles. Like, my spot's on your back seat. Like, you damn right it is. But my bike was notoriously, it was a shitbox. Like,
it absolutely was.
it was 100, very, very reflective of me as a person. A constant work in progress, constantly reinventing.
Yeah.
Like, I was working on the thing all the time. It went through several different incantations of
held together by zip ties and JB welds.
literally.
I know.
And that's not the first bike I've ridden that was like that. I lost the shock on my first bike, cleared out in Muskingum County at Big Muskie's Bucket, and I zip tied the damn thing to get me back to Mount Vernon.
Hell yes, you did.
Like, this shit is real. I know how to jimmy rig anything.
Oh, it's so good. It's
But
so
it
good.
also got to, you know, it got to the point where it was fun because I wanted to be a builder. But then, like, I couldn't keep the damn thing running. So I'm like, well, maybe this isn't for me. So I leveled my wife up and got her a new Jeep.
Nice.
So you take somebody who 6 years ago had a 400 credit score and was sleeping in a camper in the middle of nowhere, homeless and jobless, to I was able to get my wife a 2021 Jeep Wrangler that she's always dreamed of.
Yep.
Because she deserves it. She works really, really hard. She's an RN. She put herself through nursing school before me, but, you know, has since got her bachelor's. She's a 2-degree RN, and she's my sugar mama. I'm a cat man for all I care. I don't give a shit. My masculinity.
Ain't nothing wrong with
My
that.
masculinity is 100% fine with that. Because the goal is for her and I to be in an RV and her be a travel nurse, and we don't go anywhere. It's cold. Like,
I'm mad at that.
Once kids graduate, I'll put the Jeep and the bike on the trailer and class seat motorhome, and
Bam, there it is.
we're gone. Like, I don't care if it's Arizona for 6 months or we want to go to the Carolinas. Like, we want to go to North Myrtle Beach area. That's kind of where we're shooting for. But I want to ride my motorcycle 365 days a year if I can.
It'd be amazing.
It would. But, so, yeah, I gifted my bike to my best friend, mainly because I just didn't want the motherfucker anymore. We were moving, and I was like, I'm not taking it with me. Like, he bought his wife a bike. Actually, at the event that I met Jerry at, he broke his. And it was like leaking oil, and it just was never the same afterwards. So I was like, you know what? I'm telling you, it's a shit box. You know it's a shit box. You've ridden with me before. You got to fix it, but it's yours. Sign title to him and everything. So what's going to happen is, and I'm a diehard Honda rider. I've got a Honda Wings tattoo and everything like that, and I give these guys shit for riding Harleys all the time. And but here within the next year or so, I'll probably have my
Get
ass.
a Harley.
I will be on a
Yes,
Harley
you
Davidson.
will.
Yes, I will.
Jerry will see to it.
Well, I need me a big boy bike. So
Yeah.
I need me a road bike that
There you go.
I can ride some distance on. Because like I said, I love having my wife on the back of my bike. She likes being there, but you know she's got to be able to trust it. So
Oh, yeah.
All right, one more quick question.
I'm sorry I took up so much.
No,
time.
we
No,
love
this is
it.
great,
This
yeah.
is perfect. What advice would you have for somebody early on in sobriety?
Damn. Do the fucking work.
There it is.
That's with anything in life. Do the work. Don't half step it. If you're gonna do it, do it. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Yep.
Like that.
Now, Jerry and I have had talk that we're not so devoted to the program that it's every facet of our life, but it's absolutely there when we need it. So I've been focusing more on fitness than I have going to meetings and working the program, but those steps are there when I need them. So early on, it was I needed to be around that. I needed to be in the environment, but I had a good sponsor. He kept me honest. We did the work, And that's all it is. Like, you're not gonna do it until you're ready to do it. You know, we've all been addicts. You're not ready to quit until you're ready to quit.
Right.
Can't nobody make us do it.
Yep.
You know, and it's the same with getting sober. You know, like you're gonna use drugs as long as you use drugs, and you're gonna drink as long as you want to drink. And when you're ready, you'll do it. And hopefully, that your will and your discipline is stronger than the poison. Get yourself a good enough reason to quit. Mine was my wife. Because it was, and I'll try to make this quick.
Yeah.
Couple New Year's ago, I got all kinds of fucked up well before the ball drop. I passed out. And I was like, wake me up at midnight so I can be your first kiss. She couldn't wake me up. And, yeah, I'm sorry. She's like, I think I'm going to spend this year sober. She never had a drink problem or anything like that. Like, she drank, but
Yeah.
She's like, I think I'm going to spend this next year sober. I was like, you know what? I will too. She's like, don't make promises you can't keep. And that fucking hurt.
Yeah.
But it hurt in a good way. Like, this woman has always been there to challenge me and to light the fire under my ass that I needed. So when I said it was spite, like, I didn't start then, but a lot of it was she didn't think I could do it. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But also, my bonus daughter didn't deserve to see me like that. There's a history of that on her side. She didn't deserve to see me like that. My kids didn't deserve to see me like that. My wife deserves better. So if I'm going to be the man that leads and takes care of my household and provides and is that pillar of strength for my family, then I need to walk that walk. I'm big on sovereignty. Like, I bend a knee to no man. Like, I am my own master. So how can I say that if drugs and alcohol have control over me? Same with, like, anger,
Yeah.
People have tempers, and,
Yep.
their temper gets the best of them to where the littlest thing, they're fucked up for a whole day about it, pissed off.
Yep.
Well, that lives rent-free in your head. That is your master now.
Absolutely.
So, like, my tolerance for bullshits went up, doing work and stuff like that. I've had people tell me, like, oh, you don't get mad like you used to. No. 'Cause what's the point?
Right.
I control me.
Yeah.
Drugs and alcohol don't control me. Anger doesn't control me.
Right.
I control me.
Yeah.
So it's good. Basically, my advice is just do the work. If you want it bad enough, you're going to do it.
I like that.
And that's just a point blank. That's just how I
Yeah.
roll. I shoot straight. I'm not a baker. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit.
Right.
I don't surround myself with yes men. Like,
Yeah.
either you want it or you don't. Plain and simple. If you want it, you're going to do the work. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Fuck yeah.
There it is. Well, AJ, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
I appreciate you guys.
this was-
Honestly, I'm honored.
Yeah, dude. This
No,
was,
we
this
love
was
having
sick.
you on, man.
This was great.
I'm honored because I got into listening to podcasts when I started, like, my personal development journey. Like, I told you, my wife has always been that catalyst. Like, right after I turned 36, I wrecked my van. I was in that whole self-loathing, like, what was me? And I can remember, I'm like, I'm sorry I'm not the man you thought I was. She's like, so when are you going to be that? And to this day, she's like, I'm sorry, that was such a bitch thing for me to say. I was like, no, it's what I needed to hear at the time.
Right.
Well, tough
Because
love, yeah.
it was right after that I was like, okay, I'm going to start this. So I found all these, like, men's podcasts and, like, masculinity podcasts, things like that. And it was indirect mentorship. I was learning everything that I should have been taught by the men in my life. But she got so sick of hearing me talk about podcasts. She's like, if you fucking say podcast one more time, I'm gonna gut you like a fish. So I just quit talking about podcasts, because I listen to a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so I told her, I was like, Jerry wants me to be on the podcast. She's like, that's good for you. But she did say she would listen. So she did
There
say
it
she would
is.
check it
And
out.
she's
So-
got plenty of shout outs, so that's just so
She
funny.
did, yeah.
Like, it just sounds like my wife, like, she's probably so fucking sick of hearing me, like, the podcast,
Oh, yeah.
Jerry's coming over,
right,
and Chris,
right.
on
But-
the podcast.
But to be on a podcast finally, like, I've got buddies that have been on podcasts.
Yeah.
Shout out to my buddy Roy, who has he's an author. He's got a podcast called Midnight Terrors. He's a horror writer.
Nice.
Check that out if you're into listening to podcasts
Hell
called
yeah.
Midnight Terrors. But I'm like, I checked that box, man. I've been on a podcast.
I've been on a podcast. There
So I
you
can
go.
say-
That's what I was so, like, hyped on to, like, when we started this, was that, like, knowing that, like, I think like 99% of the people we've had on, this is like their first ever podcast.
But I
so
bugged
it's
you
like-
guys. Like, I remember you talking about it at the meeting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
And I'm like, so when can I? You're like, you gotta get
In time.
You gotta get some time under
In
your belt.
time.
Yeah.
And so like, I kind of was like, man, they're never gonna have me on.
Oh no!
And then it was like, hey, what are you doing?
Hey.
I'm like, yes, I did it.
Got the call.
Hell yeah!
Well, now
Because I've been here, I've followed it from the beginning.
You
Like,
have.
I remember hearing about it on Monday night, and I was like, no fucking way. That's so cool you guys are doing that. Like, I want to be a part of this.
and now here you are.
Here you are.
The circle has come all the way
I'm
back
telling
around.
you, this is going to be the highest episode, the most viewed.
It better.
the highest
I believe
rated.
It better be.
I believe, because if it's not, we'll delete it.
Yeah,
That's
we're
fine.
done.
We'll just
After
do it
this,
again.
if it, I quit.
We will shut it down. Six Gun came in, fucked shit up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just a better version now. I've rebranded, so it's SIXGUNN, 2 N's, double N.
Ooh.
Because I actually traced my lineage, and I'm so Scottish that I belong to Clan Gun in the Highlands of Scotland.
No.
One of the old, I can produce receipts. One of the oldest Highland Scots clans, and they were founded by Vikings.
Chris, get on this. We need to check this out right now.
Clan Gun, GUNN, the clan founded by Vikings. No bullshit.
No affiliation with the Ku Klux. This is a
No,
whole
no.
different type of thing.
Clan with a C.
Come on, man.
Clan with
I
the
don't
C.
know what you're talking about. I just look like an extra in American History X at all times.
Fucking go.
Oh, my God.
Use
All
this
right.
for the blooper reel.
Before we get ourselves canceled,
Yeah.
AJ, before you came on, I mean, we know you, but we were doing a little bit of research and we pulled your birth records and we found some conflicting information on your birth certificate. It had you listed as Amanda Jane and Ashley Jude. So which one does AJ stand for? Is it Amanda Jane or Ashley Jude? It's the Mental Defectives podcast. It's Milligram, Jerry with a G. AJ, Six Gun is here. Ashley Jude is with us tonight. We'll see.
Asshole jockey.
Asshole Jockey's here. We'll see you next time. Bye.
I like how you